today I'll be doing a special focus on newly wedded couples. There's one thing to be wedded and there's another thing to be married. You know, yes, wedding is just for that particular day while the marriage continues. And you will see that that marriage is the only institution where you are giving the certificate when you start. Okay, unlike other programs, you have to finish before you are given the certificate. So marriage is a very special institution, and people going into that institution, we must be ready to learn as quickly as possible, because you can never graduate from it. Yeah, so that's what informed today's topic: budgeting for newly wedded couples. It can also be good for those who are already wedded. You've been in marriage for quite some time. This topic will also be good for you. So it is investors education, and we are looking at budgeting for newly wedded couples. Before I dive deep into the topic, let me just take a quote. You see, a budgeting is telling your money where to go, instead of you wondering where it has gone. That is budgeting. Then marriage is our last chance to grow up. Marriage is our last chance to grow up. That was given to us by Joseph Bath. Then teamwork makes the dream work, as we are told. But I also know that for any successful marriage, it requires falling in love many times, always with the same person. So let's go straight to our topic of today. Well, will I say congratulations to those who are newly wedded, and of course those of you, yes, who have spent some years in marriage. Yeah, I'll say congratulations. But as newlywed couples, managing your finance together is crucial for building a strong and a secure future. Let's see how both of you can work together, help you to create a budget that works for both of you. This is specific for each couple. So when couples come in my counseling session, talking about financial therapy, I tell them what works for couple A might not work for couple B. So don't take the advice of couple A and see how you want to use it on your own. So it's specific to each couple. So for step one, that is, we're trying to looking at budgeting for newlywed couple. One, you need to track your expenses for 1 month. Write down every single transaction you both make, including small purchases like coffee or snacks you went out to eat in TFC or any of the eateries around. Keep track of them. Write them down. Now, this will help you identify areas where you can cut back and understand your spending habits. Because record keeping is key. When you keep that record, of course, couples tell me it's difficult for them, but I say just, start maybe on a daily basis. When you come back, you just write the expenses you have made for that day. Get a very good jotter, and if you are not going to use any of the apps, you just put it down at the end of the week, maybe on the Friday night or Saturday morning, you can total it. You do that for 1 week, you get used to it, you do that for a month. Then the month you can now sit down and look at the expenses. You can now track and say, okay, this is where our monies are going. Then for step one, you need to track your expenses. For step two, you need to set financial goals. This is the new year, and if you are just newly wedded, maybe some weeks ago, or even if you have been in marriage for quite some time, this is the new year. It's a clean start. You need to set financial goals. Discuss and agree on short-term and long-term financial goals, such as one, maybe you're saving for a down payment. for a house, I encourage mortgage, or you want to buy a car, you just need to save for it. Then, of course, you must have incurred one or two debts. You paying off your debts, building an emergency fund. I've advised that you need to have 6 months of your normal living expenses. At least 6 months will be there. Then, of course, you plan for your retirement. Yes, you want to plan for a time where both of you will just travel wherever you want to travel to. There is no anxiety to come to work, and all that. You need to plan for that also. So all that is your goal, the things that you want. So you plan for your short term, medium term, and your long term goals. You need to plan for it. And in fact, your goals must be smart. We have always emphasized that. It has to be specific, measurable, attainable, time bound, of course, realistic. Then you can evaluate and review. So for step 2, you need to set your financial goals. Both of you will agree. Yeah. Step 3, you need to categorize your expenses. Yes, you can say discretionary and not discretionary. You can say your wants and your necessities. But you divide your expenses into categories, such as maybe housing, transportation, medical, insurance, grocery, debt repayments, even for entertainment. You put like in account, they say your line items. You need to be specific. Looking at housing, it can be payment for your rent, it can be payment for mortgage, it can be for utility, it can be for maintenance. You can have also for transportation. That's your car, if you are paying for a car loan, gas, how much you are buying for the car, the insurance, even when you are using the public transportation, because these days I advise people to make use of the train. Lagos State train services, very, very effective. Then food, your insurance, health, liability insurance is also very necessary. The payment of your debts, entertainment, then your expenses, savings is also part of it. So you must put it as a line item, that is for your emergency fund. Then, of course, you can also have your investment. Yes, it's also part of your expenses. In fact, that should be the first thing, your savings and investment. And for step 4 now, you need to assign percentages. You now have housing, transportation, entertainment, insurance, debt repayment, savings for emergency. You now give each of them a percentage. For your savings, trying to create an emergency fund, we have said minimum 10% should go for that. For your housing, you should not spend more than 30%, or let's say 33% at most. Okay? Then for your food, of course, you know how you eat, maybe 10 to 15%. For your insurance, 5 to 10%. Your debt repayments, you can have about 5 to 10%. Then for savings, like we have said, 10 to 20% is also very good. Entertainment, you can say 5 to 10%. So just assign percentages to these categories of your expenses, which you have been able to categorize. For step 5, you now need to create a budget plan. How do you do this? Based on your income, what you are receiving, your expenses, you've been able to have an idea of your expenses in a month. Then, so based on that, your income, your expenses, and your goals, you can then create a budget plan that outlines projected income and expenses for each month. So you can have your budget for each month. You know the income you are receiving, and you know how your expenses. So you can now allocate funds to those your expenses. That's for step 5. Then step 6, monitor and adjust. For me, that is the evaluation and review. Monitor and adjust. So regularly track your expenses and compare to your budget plan. Make adjustment as needed to stay on track and achieve your financial goal. Yes, while you are doing this step, you monitor and you're adjusting, is you know what you have budgeted. Then you now compare with actual and see that you are not out of your budget. And if you are out of budget, what has happened? What has caused that variance? How can you now adjust and ensure that you are within your limits? So these are some of the steps you need to take. Additional plans: communicate openly and honestly. I usually call it a financial date night. You can have that every month or every quarter with your spouse. Communicate openly and honestly about your spending habits and your financial goal. Yes, the two of you should be on the same page. And whatever figures you come up, they are not just ordinary figures. They reflect your values. You can consider using the 50-20, 50-30-20 rule. That 50% of your income goes towards your necessities: housing, utilities, food. Then while 30% towards your discretionary spending, entertainment, and hobbies. Then, of course, 20% towards your savings and your debt repayment. So, but the most important thing, you need to communicate openly, because communication is the foundation of any marriage. Then, of course, build an emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Yeah. At the same time, if both of you work, take advantage of the scheme you have in your workplace. Like, in fact, even if you are a private, you're on your own, you are self-employed, or you're an entrepreneur, you can also apply for your own pension. That is your retirement savings account. There are so many pension fund administrators around where you can go sign in, and at the end of every month, you make some payments, and of course, your employer also make a certain percentage, maybe 10%, that goes towards your retirement savings accounts. So by following these steps, and tips, you'll be well on your way to creating a budget that works for both of you and set up for your long-term financial success. It is very, very important, for you and your spouse to come to an agreement and you do things together. Because by the time your finances are in place, you will discover that every other aspect of your life will also be in place, and you will see how you live and become like a mentor to other young couples that are coming up. And at the end of the day, you will see that both of you will be a shining light. And for marriage, when people see that love between the two of you, it becomes something that people can begin to now emulate you people. And the two of you striving together, having one purpose to face your challenges together, achieve your goals together, and you see how both of you will now swing in the laws of the Almighty. And, it becomes a blessing to your community, to those around you. So before I close for today, I want to close with a quote given to us by Nicholas Sparks that said, "The best love is the kind that awakens the soul and makes us reach for more, that plants a fire in the heart and brings peace to our mind." Communication is the foundation of a healthy relationship. Thank you.